Hey there, this is Anne Marie, the anti-HR lady, and I want to talk a little bit about the two employers least likely to be willing to negotiate a separation with severance with employees, even when the employee can clearly prove discrimination. First, who am I? I'm Anne Marie, the anti-HR lady, and I teach my clients how to get their employers to pay them to leave discriminatory hostile work environments. I am the owner and founder of the anti-HR consultancy, and I provide employee-focused HR advice and support. I work for employees. I do not work with employers. I want to make the HR environment more understandable for employees so that they can assert their workplace rights. And I want to make sure that employees understand and know what their workplace rights are. So if that's interest to you, please hit subscribe, follow me on social media, all across social media as the anti-HR lady. So let's talk about which employers I have noted in my experience are the least likely to be willing to negotiate separations with severance with employees, even when the employee can clearly prove that they're being targeted and discriminated against in the workplace. There are two particular employees that I have found are particularly difficult to negotiate with in these types of situations. Even when you have done all the things that I teach my clients to do, they are the least likely to budge. And I will tell you who they are. The federal government and state government employers. And that might come as a shock to people because, the federal government is the one that creates all these workplace laws, and, the EEOC is the federal agency responsible for helping employees assert their rights and raise claims and so on. But in my experience, the federal government is one of the worst employers when it comes to dealing with issues of discrimination in the workplace. Because they are such a huge bureaucracy, they tend to hide behind that bureaucracy. They take employees through multiple rounds and issues, and often will engage in very clear retaliation, and employees will have a very difficult time getting any kind of help or support unless they file a claim through the EEOC and or hire an attorney. And often when people come to me and they work for the federal government, I direct them to speak to an attorney who has experience bringing claims against federal agencies, employment discrimination claims against federal agency, and getting support through an attorney. Because in my experience, federal agency employers are the least likely to be willing to address employment discrimination claims in the workplace unless it comes to them through a lawyer or a law firm. I wish I could say that that wasn't true, but it's the case. I have also found something very similar with a lot of state employers. Same kind of situation where the employee they will hide behind bureaucracy. They'll tell you go over here, then go over there, then go over there, and they will not address the issue unless it is raised to them through an attorney. So generally speaking, when employees come to me that are working either for the federal government or state government, I will often give them employment lawyer referrals and have them go directly to a lawyer to help them file an EEOC complaint in many cases, or to take other action that the lawyer might recommend that they take. But generally, I have found that those two employers are the least likely to be open to discussing negotiated separations with severance unless it is through an attorney and it is after some type of action has been filed. And it's unfortunate, but that's the truth. And so I wanted to make this video to just share this information because I get a lot of questions from people who are either employed through a state government or the federal government. And in my experience, they are the least likely employers to be amenable to paying you to leave, even when you have clear evidence and proof that they are engaging in behavior that's discriminatory. If your employer, on the other hand, is in the private sector, they are more likely to be open to these kinds of negotiations because their exposure and their liability is very clear. And most of the time, if you can prove what you need to prove to them, they will bypass, having to go through the court system, which is expensive for them, and just try to buy their liability back from you through a negotiated separation with severance, which is what I help my clients to do and what I educate employees about. So if you are private sector, which means non-state employee and non-federal government, and when I say non-state, I mean you don't work for like the Department of Human Services, or I'm not talking about university systems that are state university systems. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about state agencies like the education department or the, social services department or something like that. Those agencies in particular, and the federal agencies as well, I have just found that they are very difficult for employees to navigate without the assistance of an attorney. So if you are dealing with discrimination and your employer is a private sector employer, using the tools and information that I provide employees will be very useful to you if you would like that employer to pay you to get out of the discriminatory hostile work environment that they're subjecting you to. But if your employer is a federal or state agency, I would highly recommend getting advice from an attorney immediately and working with them to see how you can go about filing a claim to get the agency to act to resolve the issues that you have, because I've just found that they're less amenable to doing that if it doesn't come to them through an attorney. I hope this information has been helpful. If you have a HR issue or you're being subjected to discrimination in your workplace, please consider grabbing access to my online master course, which teaches you how to ask your employer for a separation with severance, and how to exit a discriminatory hostile work environment and get your employer to actually pay you to do it. And if you would like to talk to me about a very specific HR issue, you can also go to my website and book a discovery call. I'm always happy to talk to people as my schedule allows. I'm Anne-Marie, the anti-HR lady. HR is not your enemy, but they're definitely not your friend. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.